So, in this lesson, we are going to take a look at adjusting lights with their color. In previous lessons, when we were looking at the 1 point and 3 point lighting setups, we really mostly worked on positioning of the lights and a little bit with the intensity of the lights. So in this lesson, I really want to look at how we can use light to really enhance the scene and tell more about what is going on. So right now, if we look at the lights, from the previous lesson, I added one more light into the scene, and if we look at the render for this, it is basically adding a little bit of light on this side where I felt it was a little bit dark before, and it evens out the background a little bit more. And I also use it as kind of a little bit brighter than on the opposite side to show kind of where this rim light is coming, just to add a little bit of influence. Right now everything is set to white color light. But we can start adjusting it. So one of the easy ways to go in and decide to change color is choosing all of one side to be one color and all of the other side to be color. If you use like an orange and blue scheme, that is used a lot in cinematic fantasy type films, so that can be an option. And I usually try to add a little bit of color, but it doesn't have to be super intense. In each light, I'm kind of not using the color picker, but going in and choosing a color by hand and trying to get it close to each other. So that way it gives you a little bit more vibrance in the color so that it's not all just one color. And then on this side, with all the lights that are aiming on the other side, it's going to be kind of like the reflected light in the scene. And I'm going to push that into the blue range. Might be a little intense. Okay, so now with that blue and orange look, we can see kind of what we're doing here. It really looks like there's kind of a sunlight coming from the opposite side, and that you have um, reflected like from the wall or um, the sky or something like that. It just gives you that very contrasty look of um, blue and orange. And like I said, that's used a lot with fantasy type films and very cinematic type films as well. You can decide to go kind of monochromatic if you wanted to. So um, sometimes films like to, like horror films, will go kind of with a blue scheme. So we can look at a little bit of setting up the whole thing kind of blue. This is good for nighttime also, so if you want the scene to feel dark, but you don't want to really take the lighting down so you can still see what you're recording, a blue setup is a really good way to go. This will actually make it feel like it's darker than it is, so just setting up a whole bunch of blue lights in your scene. If we go to a bit more of an extreme and playing around with the lights, let's go to like bright, bright red on this side. And on this side, we'll go with a bright blue. So when we do something like this, you're going to get a really extreme lighting setup. And with a setup like this, it kind of almost feels like they're being in a, like there's police nearby. You got the red and blue from the police lights. So you can push it to an extreme like this to get a very stylized look and kind of show what's happening in the environment. If you didn't want it to be quite that extreme, you can kind of tone these back so that you can see some of the flesh tone still. So going in here and pulling these back a little bit so that it's not quite as stylized, but we still get the same feel. I'll try that now. So same kind of feel, but it's not as intense. So we also can kind of be looking at this right now, use this a little bit kind of like a sunset scene. So if you wanted it to be at sunset, maybe use something like this. And you can really play around with the lighting a lot. If we look at other films like, for example, The Matrix. The Matrix goes with a pretty green palette, and if we wanted to recreate a look like that, we can go into this range where we're using green lights to get that matrixy feel. And when you're using green, really almost in anything in your scene, especially with characters and lighting and setting it up like this, this green overall hue, when you add it to things, it's going to make the scene feel a little bit unnatural and almost sickly or eerie. So the reason for this is because there's not really any lights other than fluorescent lights, which are unnatural, but there's no naturally forming lights that really give you this green look. So because of that, it makes it feel more unnatural, and you can make your audience feel that way by setting up the lights like this. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video with the quick introduction to lighting with color, and I hope you use these techniques on your projects, because just adding a little bit of light, no lights are 100% white in real life. There's always a little bit of color to them, if only just because they bounce around the room, and whatever is in your environment is going to reflect the color back to you. So yeah, keep that in mind. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.